taken a photo of a cityscape and it comes out gray? This always happens to me, especially when I take photos of New York City, which is today's main photo. Take a look at your screen so you guys can see which photo we're going to be fixing up today and compare the before and after. Comment below if this has happened to you. Now this happens because there's so much haze and it might be pollution or it might be something in the air that makes our photos look gray. So the first objective of today is going to be remove that gray haze in that urban photography. We're going to bring back the colors and add dimension. I took this photo in New York City and I was super excited to fix it. You can also download this same photo for free, high res in RAW format, so you can follow along on this tutorial. I am Giselle Behrens for Photo TV NYC, live every day with new photography tutorials on how to make your photos look better. Hit that subscribe button if you want to learn how. Also hit that like button and let's get this started. So over here I have my working space and you will be able to take a look at my cursor. Let me just turn that on with my little circle. Here it is. And you're going to be able to follow exactly what I do if you did download that photo, or you can use your own if you prefer. So the first thing that I do want to hit is my D, and there it is on screen, because I do want to go to my develop module. This is how we're going to make our photo look. And you guys can take a look at the before. I mean, the difference is pretty amazing. And it's going to be just a few steps. This tutorial is for photographers that are already a little bit familiar with Lightroom. But if you're not, don't worry that we will have a tutorial from scratch on what is Lightroom and how does it make your life easier. So we're going to start first over here on basic. And we want to check our exposure. When I check my exposure, I do take a look at my histogram and just make sure that I have my whites as close as possible to the right, because this ensures that my whites are going to be nice and bright, even though what we're looking at doesn't look right. So now I'm going to augment my contrast around there. And what we really want to do is get some rich blacks. We want to get some rich blacks as soon as possible. We're going to start adjusting these tools as much as we can, and then we're going to use our super tool of dehaze. You can always bring back any of the adjustments in Lightroom because it is a non-destructive process, and that's exactly why we love it so much. So with our blacks, we're going to be sliding these to our left just to make sure that our blacks over here in our histogram hit the left barrier, because this means that our blacks are indeed black. Now we're going to open up a little bit more because we want to expose for our buildings. And just by doing these really quick 3 sliders, we can check the before and after, always with your backslash on screen. And you can see that only by doing that, this photo starts becoming alive. It starts having shape. Now we're going to go down and we're going to start using our super tool, dehaze, which I absolutely love because it does exactly that, dehaze. Now we don't want to go too much to the right because or else our photo starts looking wacky, but you guys can experiment and see what happens. Everything is in the intention of the photographer. So I'm going to leave mine in 16 for now. I'm going to work my way up with clarity. Clarity is going to give you some extra contrast between the mid-tones, and it's going to make your darks darker as well. So that's going to give us a nice contrast, but as well it's going to help us sharpen our edges. When we do have landscape photographies that are urban or even regular nature landscape photography, we want to make sure that our details are very sharp and that our structures are visible, because the sharper they are, the more dimension the photo is going to have at the end. So I'm going to go now to texture and augment it to around 34. So my values right now are dehaze at 16, clarity at 19 and texture at 34. Now, you guys can always play around with the same photo. It's completely free for use, so you guys can learn how to use these awesome tools of Lightroom. Working my way down, I'm going to go to vibrance and saturation. So my take on vibrance is that it augments anything that is already vibrant inside of the photo. So it enhances the colors that are already present. And then saturation is just going to add saturation to 100% of the pixels in your image. Now that we did these, we're going to go down to our tone curve right here. And in our tone curve, guess what? We're going to continue working on our blacks. It's incredibly important that when we do have a hazy photo of a landscape, of an urban landscape, we make these blacks black if we do want to reach a contrasty and wow effect photo. Again, this is all in the intention of the photographer, but for purposes of this tutorial, we're going to make this look poppy and we're going to make it look dimensional. So I just slid the tool of shadows to the left to make sure that only my blacks are affected. So if I reset this, you're going to see how it becomes a little bit more open. And when I do place it more towards the right, towards my left hand, so a negative value, -31, the blacks become richer. Now, it's important that I do want to open my blacks, so we're going to do a little play of shadows, blacks, and that's going to give us some space to only adjust the black tones of the photo. The difference is that if you do start darkening up the darks, that's going to darken up the area where we have most detail in our photo. So take a look at this. We're going to start losing all of the details here in the buildings, which makes the photo so nice. So I'm going to reset that and I'm going to open it. And the opening of this is going to help us see the windows while we really take our blacks deeper. Now we're going to go back to basics, open up our shadows a little bit more, and go even more on a negative black. So I'm going to leave mine around 65 for now. And you can see how this photo is really starting to become dimensional with the before and the after. Now my buildings are a little bit too blue, so I'm going to go up to my white balance and slide slowly this slider to the right. This is going to help me give that sunset look that was going on when I was there taking this photo. And I absolutely love the play between the coolness of some of the buildings and the warmth of the ones that are lighter. So you can see over here, the Freedom Tower is very nice and blue and cool, as well as these more modern buildings, while the other buildings that are made out of concrete are nice and warm with the reflection of the sun. So we're going to close up our basic and go down to detail. In detail, we're going to zoom in and we're going to do some noise reduction. Noise reduction is over here to your right-hand side. And anytime that you do want to see what the ISO is, just press on the I tab. And that's going to be your hotkey for the information to come up in your photo. For example, you just press it twice, and on mine it was 500. This is why we do have some noise, as well as because we opened and pushed so hard these tones on this photo. It's done a great job because it is taken in raw. If you do this on a JPEG, it's going to be tougher, and I'm going to explain why in a different tutorial. So on noise reduction, we're going to go to our luminance slider, and we're going to slide it to the right. I usually like to keep it between 20 to 30 as a rule of thumb, but you guys can go over or under as you feel fit. I've seen that in my experience, between 20 to 30, you keep your sharpness, but you reduce your noise. Because if you add too much noise reduction, the tonalities are going to start becoming a little bit too pasty. So now we are on this point. Take a look at the screen for the before. Completely gray, there's no colors, there's no blacks, like nobody knows what's going on. And now with the after, every building starts to become individually enhanced, every window, and we've only been around 11 minutes on this tutorial. I'm explaining each step I do. With practice, you're gonna be able to do this in under 2 minutes, I assure you. We're gonna press our M key, and this is gonna bring us to masks. I love working with hotkeys because it makes my workflow so much quicker. When we are in mask, just double click on the word effect. This is gonna ensure that all of our sliders are down on 0 and that we're going to start a new adjustments from scratch. So right now what I want to do is bring back my details and texture of the sky and of the clouds, because we were exposing for the buildings to make this look as awesome as it looks. Our sky went a little bit too bright, but that's not a problem because with the masks, we're just going to do from the top to the bottom a nice fluffy mask. And by fluffy, I mean that it does have a lot of space in between the transition. This is going to help us have a gradual transition between all of the adjustments that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to lower my exposure, but most importantly, we're going to go to our super tool, you know it, of the Haze. The Haze, I'm going to augment it, and it's going to be ever so slight because we do want to do subtle adjustments that add up to that wow effect. And just by giving it 8, it adds color, it adds density, it adds all of the good stuff that you want when you are bringing back textures, especially when it looks gray. So I'm gonna hit M to exit my mask, and I'm gonna take a look at the before and the after. And everybody, there you have it on screen. We're gonna take a look at our recap and what we learned. Guys, we can save that gray cityscape. Hello! Do not discard it. Go through your images, find it, and fix it. I assure you that you're going to be doing it in 2 minutes if you practice and follow this tutorial. We learned how important it is to have rich blacks and rich colors in our photos in order to give it dimension and make it pop, as well as sharpening. Only with those tools, we made this photo look from this before to the after. So if you feel that you did learn something and made your photos better, hit that subscribe button because we have so many more tips to help you become a better photographer and a better editor as well. And most importantly, very quickly. So hit that like button and we'll see you in our next live tomorrow at noon. Guys, keep on taking photos and stay safe. Bye from New York City, Giselle Behrens. Bye.